What were your thoughts when I asked you to do this?
Immediately, why? I had a text from Chris, and he said my friend's going to be in touch with you.
Chris at Ice Guys.
Yes, Chris Nicholas. And then didn't really think too much about it because I spoke to you over Christmas, but I was away, so I didn't give it too much thought. And then when I spoke to you when I got back, and you were talking about discussing my journey and things like that, I don't view myself as a very interesting person. So again, it was just, why?
I think a lot of people don't view themselves as interesting, but I mean, that's the whole point. And I mean, that's the reason why I brought it up as well, is because that's kind of what I want to talk about. And that's what I want this to be as well. It could be anyone's journey, anyone's story. It doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be a life-changing moment, but it is kind of your journey. So, I mean, let's start at the beginning. Where are you from? Where were you raised?
On the Wirral, which is near Liverpool. So I lived there till I was 25, and then I moved up to Newcastle where I was studying. So I've moved up with the intention of being here for about 18 months to do my master's degree, but met my boyfriend, and then I've not been home since. So I've been here about 10 years now.
What was your childhood like, school and stuff like that? What kind of person were you?
I had a lovely childhood. There's me and my sister, lived with my mum and dad in a place called Bromborough, which is a village, but it's not like tiny or anything like that. And I was very lucky that I had lots of friends in school that are still my best friends now. We all grew up together, all went to the same high school. I had a really fortunate, lovely, stable upbringing. And the Wirral is the best place on earth.
So what kind of interests do you have as well? Were you an active kid? Were you just kind of a typical,
I think,
what is that,
I think I was a bit of both. So I always did absolutely everything my dad ever did, which is where I probably get my active side from. But again, copied my mum in the sense she's really well put together. So always had my makeup done, my hair done. And I was one of them girls in school that wanted to wear all the false tan, and my dad would be telling me I had too much on, and I wanted my skirt really short, but then also wanted to win the bleep test in PE. And then, yeah, my primary interest, like any other teenager, was just going out with my friends, and yeah.
Were you competitive though, kind of, because it sounds like you had that streak in you from your dad?
Hopelessly.
Bit of a tomboy in you, even though you wanted to wear the makeup and be, typical, female.
Oh yeah. I can turn anything into a competition. But it was even like, so she's still my best friend now, Tash. It was always us two left doing the bleep test. Even, God, running around the field, me and Tash had turned it into a race, and which is funny because you'd think I'd be competitive with my sister, but she's the polar opposite to me. She's got absolutely no interest in any competition, so I never really got it out of her.
So she didn't bite?
No, yeah. She couldn't care less.
But were you the kind of person that always lead that as well?
Probably, yeah. I don't know what my mum and dad's view on it was, but no, I never seemed to get a rise out of it. But then me and my friends were always like that with each other, and yeah, I've just got nothing but fond memories of the way I grew up and whatnot.
So being active, is it always been part of who you are?
I think so. I always enjoyed being active. I can't remember to what extent. I remember I enjoyed being active in school, and I remember joining the gym when I was old enough and really enjoyed that. I never really got into being, sort of going running and things till I was late teens, I don't think. Maybe 17, 18, and just kind of went on from there.
And being, liking the hair and the tan and the nails and all that kind of stuff, has that ever been an issue as well? Because, at school, you have cliques of friends, and how do I want to frame this? some people think that being good looking, pretty, being popular, all that kind of stuff, you have an easier life. Have you ever thought about that kind of thing? Was that ever something that you thought about, or is it you? Is it not you? You know, I mean, please tell us.
I can't say it's ever anything I've considered, but there are times where, especially now when I'm doing anything active, where they don't think it's me, or I'm not taking it seriously, or there's one standout about, I think it was 2016, so 9-10 years ago, something like that. I went down, I was doing a triathlon race, and I was with my boyfriend, and I walked, I was at the venue, and I went to go in with my bike, and they stopped me and just let him through. And I was like, hang on, I was like, why can't I go in? And they're like, oh no, only athletes can go in this area. And I remember being like, oh. But it was my race, he wasn't racing. Because he looked the part, he went in, they didn't let me in.
I mean, it's a perfect example of different worlds
Yeah.
putting a label on you. And
Yeah.
I'm pleased you said that, because that's something I really want to get into, because the society judges you on a surface level.
Mm-hmm.
And that very much thing there, which you just mentioned,
Yeah.
it's exactly that. Do you get a lot of that kind of stuff as well, Alex? Is that something that you're up against, or do you fight against that kind of thing, being active?
I don't think so. I definitely get comments. I get comments from people saying I'm not taking it seriously, and my priorities aren't right, things like that. You know, I've had where a day before a race, I've gone and got my nails done, and people are like, why are you not at home drinking electrolytes? I'm like, well, why aren't you out getting your nails done? You know, doesn't matter, does it? I don't think it's hindered me in any way, but I definitely get comments about choosing to wear makeup and tan and get my hair done and things.
Yeah, I'm always intrigued about that, because I know when I've talked to people like strong women, they get the opposite. Pretty much the main comments are, you look like a man. Mm-hmm. So I wondered if you get the opposite of that, where no one is taking you seriously, because it is surface level, isn't it, of judgment?
Yeah.
And especially with, I think, triathlon, is it very male dominated?
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah.
So how is that fitting into that world? And I mean, let's start. How did you get into triathlon?
It was a couple of little things that happened when I was a teenager. So my first sort of moment where I was like, what's that? Was my friend's sister was doing an Ironman. We were about 15, I think. And I remember seeing her riding a bike when we used to like bunk out of school and we'd go and get a butty from the spa and that. And I remember seeing her, she was called Sarah, she was riding a bike along the road, and then my friend said, oh, she's doing an Ironman in Lanzarote. And I was like, what's that? And then I looked into it, and then this little spark, and I was like, I want to give that a go. And then a couple of years later, because my dad was really active, my dad used to did all bodybuilding and things, and then he started getting into triathlon, and naturally I wanted to copy absolutely everything he does. And he entered this race in Liverpool, and we all went to watch, and we had our t-shirts on. I remember we were absolutely chuffed for him, and he said, if I finish this, he's like, you're going to do an Ironman with me? And I was like, absolutely, yeah. And then I remember seeing him coming up the finishing chute, and I was like, oh no. And then that was it. So ever since then, I've been absolutely just captivated by the sport. I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
So reality kind of kicked in when your dad was coming down the home straights, kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, because it was sort of like tongue in cheek at first. I don't even know if I had a bike. And he's like, right, if I finish this one, we're doing it together. And I was like, yeah. And yeah, I remember being that. I remember what I was wearing and everything, and watching him come up. And I was like, oh. But then it was the best thing ever.
So have you always wanted to kind of emulate him, be like him, or has he kind of pushed you to do it a little bit, kind of nudged you on because he can see something in you? Is it something like that?
I don't think it's a pushing me thing. I think it's more just he always seems to just have fun. So like whatever he does, it's not like I don't watch him like cleaning his motorbike when I was little and think, oh, I want to give that a go. Yeah. No, it's just he just seemed to have fun with it, and he enjoyed it, and I watched what he was doing, and why would I not want to try? And it's such an achievement as well to see the work he put in. Because I don't think people realise that you don't just get to finish a race like that. You've got to put in all the work, and it's essentially like a reward at the end of the day.
So as a kid, seeing somebody like that, do you sit and go, I kind of look up to that kind of mentality? Is it that kind of...
Yeah, so my dad is really, really, he's brilliant, and he was very, I think in terms of like school, so maybe he was with sport actually, I'm not sure, I never really thought of it that way, but I remember in school, he'd say I came home with a B, I got a B in something. He'd be like, well, anyone can get a B. Why you come back with a B? I went, right, so I have to go back, go get an A, come back. I got an A, but there you are, I told you could. And then, so he was very much, I think, more like a potential thing. He knew what I could do. So I don't know, maybe he did, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of sprinkling a few little hints there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of coaxing you into it.
I don't know, maybe he did.
Not forcing you into it. But I think that's it, because you don't know your potential. He can see it from the outside, the potential, but he knows that he's got it in himself. And if he sees that in you, then he might be kind of just helping you, like bring it out of you.
Yeah. It's also a healthy habit for your children to get into, isn't it? I think it's better than any other avenue like teenagers can take, I think, because some of them can go off the rails if they get in with the wrong crowd and stuff. So there was always that element, because I did still go out, but then I wouldn't be out late because then I was looking forward to going out on my bike on a Sunday morning with my dad. I knew we'd be up at 5 o'clock and we got to spend time together. I think we did about 10 marathons together or something, just him and I, and we just used to run them and we'd finish together. And he always used to say to me, go on, you run on ahead, like get a faster time, whatever. But I think he missed the point. Like I didn't enter because I wanted a faster time. I entered because I enjoyed doing it with him. Like I wanted to run together. I didn't want to run 26 miles by myself. So it was just stuff I liked to do with my dad.
And were you doing the marathons as a teenager, or was this when you were older?
I can't remember now. It would have been late teens when I started, I think. 18, 19 maybe. I think we did quite a few together. And that was about when I did my first triathlon.
Okay, so that kind of, it's lit the fires, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your first triathlon, never done it before, you're fairly fit, so we can kind of see where you're at the minute. You've got the fire in your belly, you know you can do it, you've got the motivation. So, apprehensions?
No, ignorance. So, I did the triathlon, and that's not to be confused with being fit. Complete ignorance. I entered an Ironman, and then my dad said, oh, you need to do one beforehand, you can't just go straight into an Ironman. So I think about 2 weeks before, I did an Olympic distance, which is what's Olympic? 1,500 metre swim, 25 mile on the bike, and then a 10k run. I was like, yeah, no bother. I turned up, it was hell. It was absolute hell from start to finish. And I cried, and I couldn't swim, and I was so last, they'd taken the course down. So I remember I was running, and it was in this estate in Cheshire somewhere, Cappersthorne or something it's called. And I remember, I saw this fella in a high vis, and I was like, which way do I go? And he was like, to where? I was like, the finish? And he was like, oh. And he had this pile of arrows that he'd obviously had pinned on a tree. And he's like, oh, it's that way. I was like, oh no, and I knew. And then I got to the end, there was no one there, just my mum and dad waiting for me. But I did it. And then...
What did your dad say when you finished?
Oh, he was buzzing. he was absolutely buzzing for me. But I remember thinking the whole way around, I was like, this is awful, absolutely awful. What have you done? But then you forget all that when you finish, and you're just proud that you've done it.
I think after something like that, it sets in. Everything awful, you want to do again for some reason. Is that kind of, actually, I can do that better next time.
Yeah.
And you're setting yourself a challenge. And I think that's what it is. So what age were you when you did your first Ironman?
So
this one here that you've just done, how old were you?
19, 20. I didn't finish. I started an Ironman. I didn't finish. And again, that was ignorance.
But what does that feel like to you? Because you said you were crying, you were upset. Because you seem like you got a competitive streak in you. What's that like, not achieving that at that age?
Awful. It was an obsession from then, because I really wanted to do it. I told everyone I was doing it. I knew it was a big thing, but didn't really know. I don't really know how to say it. So I knew it was a really big achievement, but really underestimated how much work had to go into it. And I think when I was last in that triathlon a couple of weeks before it, I should have known that this one that was 5 times the length. And yeah, I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. But I still had a nice day because I didn't finish. I got pulled out the swim in a lifeboat. I had like a foil blanket on and made a show.
So why is that? Why did they pull you out?
I was just under the water. Yeah, I wasn't doing very well. So everyone else is sort of swimming towards the swim exit. And I just completely ran out of energy and just kept going under and couldn't get myself back up again. So they pulled me out. The lifeboat came and got me.
Did you know you were in danger at that time as well or not?
I think I probably knew before I got in the water, to be honest, when I started looking at everyone swimming. But I think it's just this stubbornness to give it a go anyway. And I did, but I wasn't far off. Now I know I still got pulled out, but the finish wasn't far away. But then I got out and I wasn't very well. I was all upset. I was being sick and stuff. And then I saw the race director, and my dad was out on the course because we were doing it together. My dad was out, doing his thing. And I told him how gutted I was. And he said, well, when your dad comes in, you can run with him. So then my dad came in off the bike and we ran the marathon together again. So we still kind of did it together. I was a couple 100 miles short, but yeah, we still got to do it together. So it was still a nice day, still a nice turnout. And that was I think that was his last Ironman he did, I think. So we still got to finish it together.
So what was the next thing in your head? What's the prep like for the next one? When did you sign up for the next one? Was it straight away? Were you put off by it at all?
No. I think I did a couple of half Ironman after that. But my dad really made me train for it. So he used to wake me up in the morning. We'd be in the lakes. It was silly o'clock in the morning. It was freezing. I'd be crying. I didn't like it. And then, I'd be out on my bike. And I remember because he used to train really early in the morning. So he didn't take up my mum's time. And he was much fitter, much stronger. And we'd be out on the bike. And to me, we felt like we were hundreds of miles away. We were probably maybe 20, 30 miles away from the house. And my mum would ring and say, I'm up, where are you? And he'd go, oh, right, quick, we've got to get home. I'd be like, quick. My dad's belting it home and I'd be trying to chase after him. And then running, so he'd be like, I did 12 miles this morning. I'd be like, right, well, I'm going to do 13 tomorrow then. So I'll go out and do 13. And the next weekend, I did 14 yesterday. Right, well, I'm going to go and do 15 then. And it was just a thing we had going on. It was good fun.
It's healthy competition with your dad.
Yeah.
But it's your dad, do you know what I mean? And he's got a lot of experience in him.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it's going to stop you, and it never stopped you. But it's almost like he's your pacemaker.
Yeah, I just wanted to do it all with him. And I still try now. I still try and get him to do it, but he's finished now. He doesn't want to do it anymore, but I'll still try. I'm like, come on, and do one more, come on. And he's like, no.
So from this start, how many triathlons have you done to date? Like,
I've got absolutely no idea. I'm not sure. I've done three Ironman, a few years apart. Quite a lot of half Ironman, and then I don't know how many short ones I've done. Yeah, I've lost count.
how long have you been doing it for?
Since about, so it's got to be 15-ish years, I think, 16 years maybe. I'm 34 now.
And you haven't taken any time off at all?
No, I definitely had downtime when I was when I had my son. It took me a long time to get back into it, not from a mental, when I finally wanted to do it again. I was just a bit fat and tired, so it took me a long time to get fit and start doing it again. But then I think that's the only time. Yeah.
Have you got any? Are there any that you've done which have been a real battle as well? I really want to kind of know what triathlons you've done which are kind of, I don't know if I can get through this. Have you ever had that in your head?
Yeah, like recently. So I did one in the summer, and I'd entered with the hopes of winning. I'd entered that race on purpose. I wanted to win, and I wanted to get under a certain time. And just from the off, I was swimming. I was like, oh, I feel tired, but you still don't know. You don't know how fast you're swimming. You can't see your watch and nothing like that. And I got out. I had quite a rubbish swim time, and then I got on my bike, and they changed the course. So it was like a hillier course, but the wind was like typical British weather. It was really hard, and I came off my bike a couple of times, and it was a battle. I wasn't enjoying it, and I saw my partner was there because he comes to my races with me, and he pulled up. He shouted something, I don't know what it was, but I said, I'm not running. Like I was done. I was not enjoying it, and I'm very much of the fact that it's a hobby, you know. So I wasn't enjoying it. I was like, I'm out. And then I got to the end, and I suffer really badly with panic attacks, and I don't know why. I don't know what brings them on. But then I finished the bike, and I came in and put my bike away, and I was having really bad panic attacks, and I was done. And Michael, my partner, said, just put your shoes on, just see how far you get. So I was like, right. So I put my shoes on, all snotty and distressed, not looking like an athlete at all, and I ran out. And I had to stop again, and there was this fella in high vis on the bike next to me, and he was like, are you okay? Like, do you need anybody? And I was like, no, I just need a minute. Like, you leave me alone. I was all embarrassed. I was like, right, got my breath back. I don't know if you ever had a panic attack, but once it subsides, it's almost like, right, I'm calm now. I can start going. So I started running. This fella, he's here, and he's cycling next to me. And I was like, you can leave me alone now, you know, I'm okay. And he was like, I would, but you're leading the race, so I kind of have to be here. I was like, what? And immediately my day changed. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I'm the lead bike. He was like, so I've got to follow you. And I was like, what? Really? I didn't even think for a second I'd be in the front because I was having such a bad day. I hadn't paid any attention, and no one had told me, you know. And
did your partner know this as well or not?
yeah, he knew, but nobody told me. And well, I don't know whether that would have changed anything. I don't know if, you know, it could have gone two ways. I could have brightened up, or I could have thought, well, I'm going to lose anyway because I don't feel very good, so I'm going to quit. But
did it not make you kind of want to continue? It sounded like you found a second wind because you knew you were first.
Oh, I did, yeah. So as soon as he said that, I was like, no. And I'd seen this other lady, and I was like, I'm sure there's another girl in front. And he was like, no. And he went, hang on, I'm going to go and check. I was like, that's going to be sod's law, this, isn't it? There's going to be another girl. He's got it wrong. Well, anyway, so I kept running, and he rode off, and he come back. He went, no, it's you. I was like, all right, okay. And then, yeah, I got through. It was really hard, and it wasn't my fastest race in the end. But yeah, I was dead proud of that one. Like, I wanted to win anyway. Didn't think I was, and then it was the fact I carried on to do it. I think even if I hadn't won and I'd have carried on, I'd have been really proud.
It's the fact of that you thought you'd lost. You thought you were having a bad day. You thought this is the worst. You thought you can't keep going. And you were first.
Yeah, it was all irrational thoughts as well. So I'm not doing very well. But I wasn't paying any attention to the time, to what I was doing, to where I was in the race. I just didn't want to be there. I was tired. It was hard. I wasn't enjoying myself. So I kind of like forgotten what I was there to do, if you know what I mean. And I decided to pack it in, and I'm so grateful that Michael said just put your shoes on and see what happens. And I thought the bike next to me was just some official making sure I was all right. So
the mindset when you're doing triathlon, because I'm not doing very well, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Is that your default setting, or do you enjoy it a bit more? Do you kind of, what goes through your mind when you're doing it?
I love it. I'm not a negative person, and like I said before, it's a hobby. It's something I enjoy, and I enjoy the whole process. I enjoy all the training. I enjoy the morning of. I enjoy the race, and that particular day was just a bad day. It might have been a bad day if I wasn't racing. I don't know. But generally, no, when I'm in the race, I absolutely love it. I love what I'm doing.
So because lots of people the fuel to the fire is negativity and self-hate thoughts. There's a lot of people I know, you know a few similar people yourself, who have that, and that's kind of what eggs them on. Do you think differently to other people as well?
Possibly. I just sort of think about what I'm doing in the race. So I do have that really competitive edge, and I'm convinced if I turned up to the London Marathon, I'd try and win it. But when I'm in a race, I'm looking at, so I know what speed I can ride my bike. I know what time I did this last time, so I want to go faster. There's nothing I can do about anybody else that's racing me that day. If they're quicker than me, then they're quicker than me. So I just want to be as best. I want that race to be faster than the last time I did it. And if that means I win, great.
So you're almost competing with yourself, aren't you?
All the time. That's it. Every run session, every bike session I do, every race that I do, in my mind, I want to beat last Tuesday or last May, you know.
Does your dad, it sounds like you got a similar mindset to your dad as well, because he sounded like he enjoyed it. He just thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was just fun. It's hard. It's not, when you're doing the really long races like the Ironman, I refuse to believe anybody goes from start to finish without any dark and twisty thoughts. It's a long, long way, and you do get very tired. But I think the way you manage, because a lot of people quit when they're in it, when it's not going well, but there's a difference between it not going well and not getting the result that you want, and people sometimes just pull out, like, oh, I'm not getting the time I'm after, or I'm not going as fast as I want. But I think just to get round, it's like an achievement in itself, like mentally, just to get through it regardless of the time.
So when you're in that funk, you're kind of in the mid, oh God, this is going to be hard, because you're going to hit a wall and stuff like that. Where do you go? What helps push you through? I'm fascinated. Because it's not like, normal people go, you're a piece of shit, or you move. Do you know what I mean? You've got the Sergeant Major mentality going on, which I can kind of understand, but I can't understand it's going all right and I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Is it that? What is it? What do you think about?
I know I think about of what I have done. So I remember one race in particular, I was pregnant with my daughter, and it wasn't going to plan. The race itself was going very well, but things weren't going to plan. So like I lost all my nutrition, and I couldn't get any water out my bottles and things like that. But the actual race itself was going well, and I remember I was thinking during that race, just chill out. Look what you're doing. Like you're doing a half Ironman and you're pregnant. So it doesn't matter what time it is or whether you've lost your gels. And I do think, so when I was in Barcelona, my most recent one, I was right near the end, and it was getting dark and twisty, and it was hurting. And I was thinking, I was like, well, you've already done it. You've already exceeded what you thought you were going to do. So just chill, just finish, you know. And I think when there's no pressure, you take that pressure off yourself. Just everything's just so much more enjoyable.
That's interesting, because you want to win, but you're telling yourself it doesn't matter, just enjoy it. This is a hobby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're turning everything to a positive all the time, and I'm fascinated with that.
Yeah, I am quite positive. I know I am quite positive about the racing that I do.
And running when you're pregnant as well.
But you've got to be kind to yourself. So it could be seen as a positive or a get out. It could be seen as like, oh, you are folding. Just get through it. Because maybe if I did think, what are you doing? You need to move. Keep going. Keep going. I might go a bit quicker. I don't know. Would I enjoy it? Or then if I say, oh, look what you've done. Just chill. You've done it. So am I giving myself a get out? Am I giving myself a just getting through it, pass? I don't know. Depends how you look at it.
It completely does. I mean, do you hand this advice off to other people as well, or not?
Yeah. I just say, just enjoy it. I've got friends that do the sport and they take it way too seriously. Way too seriously.
Do you think that can be a hindrance as well? Like...
Definitely. Yeah. It's not. At the end of the day, we're just normal people that just do something for fun. You know, don't get yourself in a twist about it. Just turn up, enjoy it, and you know you've put the work in. So what will be will be.
It's such a different mindset. I'm blown away, because it's not what I hear at all at any point in time. And I mean, I think it's just disposition, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Because you're naturally like that. You're a naturally positive person. Yeah. And it seems to me you've enjoyed it, but you still keep that competitive streak. It sounds like a really healthy balance. Mm-hmm. I mean, but I'm going to jump into the panic attacks. You've got this lovely kind of healthy balance. You're enjoying it. You're not putting stress on yourself. You can really positively self-talk. When did the panic attacks start and why?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. I suffer terribly in open water. Always have done. And if I don't during a race, it's a complete anomaly. It's a running joke with like the triathlon club, my mum, my dad, everyone, like, oh God, here she goes again. I can't stop it. I don't know what brings it on, and there's no pattern to it at all. And then that time in the race when it happened on my bike, when I was getting off, very unusual. I don't know why. I don't know whether I just got myself into a state because I didn't want to be there. I'm not sure. But the water, I think, I don't know whether, I don't know. I've got no idea. It just happens, and I just have to. But I know that it will pass, so I just have to give myself a couple of minutes. I will finish. There's a lot of the time where there are a lot of times, where I've started races, and a couple of my friends, bless, have seen me freak. They've come back to get me, and I'm like, no, go on. Or there was one in particular, she must have thought I was completely crazy. So I went in, the race went, it was gone, I couldn't see anyone, and I was on my own in the water, completely freaking out, and this kayak came over. And she was like, you need to get out, I'm going to have to take you back to shore. And I was like, no. I was like, I'll never win then. And because once you're out, you can't get back in. I was like, no. I was like, leave me here. And she was like, well, I'm going to have to thingy next to you then. I was like, okay, 'cause I know it's going to pass. And I always finish. So I waited, it passed, and I swam and finished the race. But she must have been sat in that boat thinking, what is this girl talking about? There's no way she's going to win.
But it's experience.
Yeah, it's experience. Yeah, I know.
The first time you didn't have experience. When
No.
did you have this the first time?
When did I have the knowing it'll pass?
No, the panic attack. When was the first one that you had? Was it?
I can't remember.
Open water, or was it not open water? So it wasn't
I don't know.
to say like your first Ironman or triathlon. You touch that water, bang. Oh, what's this? Did that happen, or can you not remember the first one that you had?
That definitely happened in my first triathlon. I think I've had them before that, but I can't remember. I remember my dad used to calm me down. I used to get off my bike and he'd calm me down. I couldn't tell you when they started or what brought them on. It was a long time ago now.
So you haven't had them before the triathlons. Did you have them as a kid?
No. I think it was with the exercise, but I wouldn't know why.
Was your dad there with you when you first had one?
Yeah, I think so.
So he kind of coached you through it?
Yeah.
So then, therefore, that's helped you know that you can get through it?
Yeah.
So you kind of trained you in a way to
Yeah, I know
get
what's
through
happening.
panic attacks?
I know what's happening.
Is it the same feeling all the time?
Yeah. And I know it's coming on.
Please describe. You said you're freaking out and you're standing in the water. I need to know what happens. I need to see like a visual of kind of how this process is. Do you stop? Do you freak out? Are you? What is the breath? What happens?
It's an awful feeling. So I know it's going to happen before I even walk in, and I'll go in. I won't even put my face in, and immediately I can't breathe in or out, and I just know. And
is it just touching the surface of the water? What is it? Is the kind on the shore? What is it?
It's when I start getting in, but I know even when I'm stood before I start walking in, I can feel my chest getting tight and I start getting all agitated and stuff. And then as soon as I'm in the water, it's straight away, I can't breathe. And yeah, I don't know. I just have to like wait, I guess.
Do you stand there and stop?
Um,
Or do you keep moving as you get the feeling?
I think I try and keep going. I think when the race has started, I'll stop where I am because I just need a bit of calm water because it doesn't help with all the splashing and people swimming over you and stuff. So I'll stop and wait till everyone's gone. But then I think at the beginning, I just try and like move and breathe, and I'll try and like put my head under the water, to breathe out really slowly and calm myself down that way.
I'm just imagining this sea of people splashing away, going off into the distance, and you were at the beginning, at the lead, and now you're standing knee deep in water doing breath work. That's what I can imagine.
It's pretty much what it is, yeah. Yeah, I've gotten in before, quite a few times, and I'll be the only one left in the water and the race is gone, and I'm still there like trying to calm down. My goggles are filled up with water because I've been crying, and yeah.
Also, it's tears and everything.
And everything. Yeah, I don't know what brings it on. It just happens.
But getting over it and knowing you can get over it, I mean, that's such a, I was going to say it's such a skill to have, but the fact is that you know you can get through this by just taking a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can continue.
Yeah.
It's almost like your body's doing an automatic thing.
Yeah.
But your brain needs to catch up with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know whether it's like a learned behaviour from getting in the water. Now it's just something I do. I just freak. But my head knows that I freak when I get in, but it'll be fine in a minute. I don't know.
Is it always? Did it happen as a kid? Do you like swimming? Do you have any issues with swimming or
no,
water?
I didn't like it when I was little. My mum and dad didn't make me pursue it. I could swim. I went to school and that, but then, as soon as the boys start laughing at you and stuff, I was like, it's not for me. They splash me, they laugh at you. It's not for me anymore. And then I never went again. And then I learned to swim properly as an adult. My dad taught me. I booked some adult swimming lessons, but I didn't really like it. I didn't feel like it was for me. And then my dad used to take me to the pool and taught me. And I panicked then, but then I was all right. It was all right when I was swimming up and down the lanes. It wasn't very good, but I wasn't crying anymore.
So you it seems to be an association with water, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but then I love swimming. Like, if we said now we were going to organise, like, should we go, like, summer's day and we'll go and get in the lakes and stuff, I'd say, oh, yeah, absolutely love it. As soon as I get to that water, I'm like,
Really, even on a
Yeah.
nice day, just enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a race.
Doesn't have to be a race. No.
It's just that water.
Yeah. Yeah, just this really irrational fear
Yeah.
of something, and I couldn't tell you what.
You know how many people would not go in that water ever again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know anybody else who suffers from this or not?
No. No. I know some people panic with the cold, it'll take their breath away. But I've not met somebody as consistently useless at starting a race as I am.
So let's talk about what's the hardest and longest kind of race, because I know triathlons, I've heard of like 100 milers and all this kind of stuff. What's the most brutal one you've done, and what's the average? I'd love to know. Is it different from male to female? Is it kind of, what is the world of triathlon? I'm intrigued.
The world of triathlon is very equal in terms of distances between male and female. I know some cycling and running races, I don't know much about anything else really, but like the men and the women do the same distances.
Do you do it together as well or not?
Yeah, prize money is the same and things like that. But the longest I've done is an Ironman, so that's 140 mile, just over 140 mile. And the shortest I think is I want to say a super sprint, which I don't even know what it is. I think it's about half an hour. I think I've never done one.
A super sprint?
Yeah, I don't even know how short that is. But short doesn't mean easy. I think short is code for fast. Yeah, I think that's half an hour of really pushing yourself, but I've never done one.
Okay.
I think most people tend to do like the Olympic, the one I said I did first, which was the 1,500 metres, the 25 mile and the 10k run. Those distances aren't outside the realms of possibility for people to start off at. Personally.
So the 140, is that kind of split into three different ones? Is every triathlon or Ironman split into three disciplines?
Yes. So a triathlon is swim, bike, run, in that order. And then it's just the distances go up. And then you have other little races, which are like, so you can have a run, bike run, or a swim run, and things like that. Which is nice actually, because then you get people getting into the sport that wouldn't usually, people that can't run. They say, oh, I can't run, I've got bad knees or whatever, but then there's an option to do a swim bike. My partner, he's doing a race this year, did one last year. He doesn't like swimming, so he does the bike run. It's just another way of getting people into the sport.
So you don't fancy doing that without the swim?
Well, actually, it was an option because I'm racing on the same day with the swim. And he said, why didn't you just do the bike run? I went, nah, where's the fun in that?
It's not the same, is
Yeah,
it?
no.
It's not the same. I know we kind of off camera, we mentioned, I want to talk about nutrition and what you do for nutrition and has it changed throughout your life. We're talking about being overweight.
Yeah.
I love to know that journey as well. Also, you've had 2 children.
Yep. Yeah, 2 kids.
And you were pregnant running. I mean, there's so much to unpack there with at what point do you stop? At what point have you got to pull yourself back and go, I can't run because I'm 6 months pregnant or something? What's your cut-off point for that kind of thing? And is that hard to stop doing that?
They were different pregnancies, both easy pregnancies, but different in terms of how I was. So the first pregnancy I did a half Ironman with Harry. I can't remember, 5 months pregnant maybe, I think. And I remember running during that. I was like, I'm done after this. I'm tired now. Put my bike away. I think I kept going to the gym and stuff. But that was
just kind of sapped your energy kind of thing, yeah?
Yeah, I think I remember thinking, I'm tired now. I'm gonna call this a day, and just enjoy going to the gym and stuff. But then when I was pregnant with my daughter Pixie, I was on my bike when I was in labour, and then I had 6 days off, I think, and then I was back training again. Didn't really give myself much time at all, but I felt okay. I was quite in tune with how I felt. So at no point during Pixie's pregnancy did I feel that tired. I'm done now. I think I'm done, but had much more energy, but I was significantly slimmer, which I think helped.
So have you only ever been overweight during the pregnancies?
No, I think I was chubby as a child. I think
Okay.
sort of like,
Even when you're active as well?
yeah, so I remember sort of like 16, 17 when I started work, and I think the weight started coming off. I was never obese, but I was definitely chunky. And then I've had a very unhealthy relationship with food ever since. And then with Harry's pregnancy, I put on about 4 stone, which is quite a lot. I'm only 5'5", so it's quite a lot of weight to put on. I had to get that off. And then I didn't have to. I wanted to get that off. And then with Pixie, I didn't put much weight on at all.
Is that because of the first pregnancy you thought, I'm going to have to pull this back? Was there any conscious efforts to do that?
Actually, no, quite the opposite. So with Harry, I was very strict with what I ate. I exercised the whole way through and I still put on 4 stone. So with Pixie, well, I thought I'm going to put it on anyway. So I just relaxed a little bit and didn't put on anywhere near as much weight and was a lot more active. So I think that I don't think there's much that the mum can do. I think in terms of weight gain and pregnancy, I think it's going to happen or it's not. And that shows with my 2, I think.
I mean, what's it like as well to kind of give up? You're athletic and you put a lot of time and effort into this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the weight starts coming on and we've all got mirrors. Is that a hard thing to do with? I'm guessing probably not with yourself because you've got a good positive attitude about it, but with the past and you're talking about unhealthy relationship with food, did that impact your life at all?
Yeah, I get very, very image conscious about my weight specifically. And I remember crying one day. I was really upset, which looking back now was absolutely ridiculous. I was so upset. We were going to do a half marathon, me and my partner, and I put my clothes on and I just felt awful. And we were driving down to the race. I was in a foul mood. I was upset. I was short with him. And I remember him saying, he's like, well, just don't do it then. And I was like, well, I haven't said that yet. I haven't said I'm not doing it yet. And I think he said something like, well, straighten your face then. I was like, that got me a little bit pierced. And then when I got there, I did the race and completely forgot about it. And then I saw the race photos, and I think they're very good for like a memento of an occasion, but they're no good when you're somebody like me that's really image conscious. And then I saw myself a couple of stone heavier than what I'm used to, and I felt like I was falling out my top and my shorts and whatever, which is silly because I should have looked at the photos and thought, look what you're doing, look what you've done. Not many people do that, but I didn't. I can now. It's been a few years. I can look at that now, but no, it wasn't. I remember, the weight really impacted me with both pregnancies.
And is that something from a kid when you mentioned you were a little bit chunky as a kid, kind of late teens?
Yeah.
So what changed in that? Because it sounds like you were active. So is it just typical, I'm out and about with my mates, I'm eating the wrong things? What is that?
Do you mean why was I chubby?
Yeah, kind of. Did you change anything? Because you said it started to come on later on as a teen.
No, sorry, I was always chubby, and then about 16, 17 when I started work, I think I started to slim, and then maybe sort of early 20s I really started to slim down properly.
So when were you self-conscious about this as well? I'm intrigued to kind of know.
I used to get called fat quite a lot in school, and then I can't remember. I don't think it really bothered me in school, but I remember going to the cash point when I was little bit older. There was a cash point near my mum and dad's. Like I say, we lived in a village, and there was some graffiti down the side calling me fat, and I was in my 20s, I think, and I had my boyfriend with me, and it was about me. I had my name on and everything. I remember reading it and I was gutted, absolutely gutted. And it must have been there from when we were in school. The cash point was right near the school. But things like that stay, don't they? Because Because you're still quite impressionable, I reckon, when you're sort of 20 odd.
Well, body image is always a thing, though. I think we have it now. I mean, body dysmorphia is a huge thing.
Yeah, you can't win. You can't win. You lose weight, you've lost too much weight, you're too thin. You put weight on, you know, someone will mention it. Why they mention it, I don't know, but you can't win.
Do you get people mentioning it more because you do triathlon or anything like that? Is there any relationship to that?
No, to be fair, the people that don't mention my weight are probably people in sport. I get a lot of, you know, shut up, you're skinny. I haven't instigated that conversation or anything. It's just an observation you've made, and I don't really agree with people saying things like that to other people, because like me just meeting you here today and we're just talking about, you're like, oh, I've just got a salad for my lunch, and me just randomly going, why are you eating salad? You don't need to diet. And well, that's not what we were talking about. And it's not people in sport that do that.
Yeah, I think it's such a hard thing because you have a relationship that goes back 20 years or something with that. And when you became self-conscious about it, was that obviously clearly when you're getting older teenagers, early 20s and stuff like that? Does that change what you eat? Does that change your eating habits or anything like that? Was there anything in that?
Yeah, I've got a really unhealthy relationship with food.
Are you a kind of weighing things out person?
Yes. I weigh my food. I stick to the same foods all the time. I don't enjoy eating foods that in my mind I've then got to spend hours burning off. You know, when you see an advert and they say, you eat a Mars bar, you're going to have to run for 2 hours. Why would I want to run for 2 hours to burn off a Mars bar? Let's just not eat the Mars bar, you know. And I don't afford myself any sort of treats or anything unless it's like an occasion. So if we're having a nice weekend as a family, or, you know, I was out with the girls and things like that, I'm not that bothered. But generally day to day, it's something that I'm acutely aware of with every single meal.
So you don't have like a cheat meal or anything like that? Is it hard to have that?
Yeah, generally not, no. And if I do, it's still not a cheat meal. It's still only
a clean cheat meal.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if we get a carry out from the Indian or something, I'll still only have chicken breast. It's still not, you know. I know it's tragic.
But it's not. I'm really intrigued about that, because some people can just let it go for one meal and then suffer consequences. So it's not something that you feel in yourself, or is it something you feel in yourself? You know, you're eating something bad, you go, oh God, here we go. I'm going to get sleepy. I'm going to get stomach cramps. Is there any of that?
No, I don't enjoy the mental anguish that comes with thinking I'm going to put weight on.
Really?
Yeah, it's not that fun for me, and I'd rather just not eat the food and just eat food that I'm going to enjoy, you know. And it's not that I don't enjoy eating healthy food. I really like healthy food, so I'd rather eat that, enjoy it, eat plenty of it as well is the main thing, because, you know, even if you do allow yourself a treat, you probably shouldn't eat tons of it. Whereas if I'm starving, I want to eat loads. So I'll eat nice, good food and feel better for it.
I think that's the thing, because you can't eat lots of food if you're active and stuff like that, because that helps. I know people at the gym, they're kind of eating twice as much now and they're burning more calories, but it's kind of putting on lean muscle mass and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're very much conscious about that. How long have you had this kind of way of eating as well? Has it been gradual, or is it just from triathlon, or how long has this been going on?
How long have I been obsessed with what I'm eating?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Since I was about 20, I think.
So you started eating healthily back then as well, or were you just kind of cutting calories back then? Because it's knowledge and understanding.
Oh yeah, so I'm a lot more knowledgeable now about good foods, and it's not so much calorie counting now. It's good foods, good fuel. Then I think Or there were times I would just put water on cereal, because who needs calories from milk, right? You know, and yeah, black coffee, when I don't even enjoy black coffee, you know, and it was extreme, and then I'm a lot better now.
It's quite unusual for somebody like young as well, because I think some people are like, you know, when they're cutting for a competition, for a bodybuilding thing, they'll do that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because they know anything in there,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to take out. So the education, have you educated yourself on this, on healthy eating?
I don't know. I think it's just experience, and the more I'm into my sport, the more I've realised it's a fuel rather than like a reward. So I eat well, and the more good foods I eat, the better I train, the better I race, the better I recover. Whereas before, I used to, I'd go out, we'd ride 80, 100 miles, and I wouldn't have eaten a thing at all. I wouldn't have an energy gel because I didn't want the calories in it. And I didn't finish the race. You know, I didn't have the energy to even get through the swim. So now I'm very good at making sure I've got enough calories to do all the things that I want to do well, recover and do them again the next day.
The thing is, there's a fear in the mind, because you're such a positive person as well. I'm intrigued, because that's the complete opposite of how you kind of, you're mentioning your mindset and stuff like that, and then you've got a hang up about food, but you're controlling it now in a good way.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. It's what I want to get to. I don't want to be kind of poo-pooing on people's kind of eating healthy habits, but I'm the same, because I know for a fact that if I eat that, if I veer off, then I've got rules.
Yeah.
And I can't do this, I can't do that, no sugar, all this kind of stuff, gluten, dairy free.
Yeah.
Are you kind of pretty much hard on the paint on that as well?
No, I don't cut out food groups altogether.
So what's your main staple? What are you kind of eating? Let's go through your diet. I'm intrigued.
I know, yeah, you sat down. So we'll have porridge with water, generally in the morning.
Water?
With boiled water. I'll normally have some fruit, maybe some honey, a bit of protein powder and that. Nice filling breakfast. Lunch will always be either eggs and rice, chicken and rice, something like that. Dinner will be the same, but normally with a flavour, because I'll be eating with Michael, so it'll be some kind of chicken fajitas, if you like, but I won't have wraps, I have rice. And then I snack terrible, so there's lots of peanut butter, rice cakes, fruit. I love nuts and dried fruit, things like that. Yeah, it's quite boring, but I like it.
It's finding your own exciting foods that you enjoy eating as well.
Yeah.
Because there is a way of eating healthy snacks and around that.
Yeah.
So you're training every day as well? What's your training routine like?
Training's good. Training's actually pulled back a lot. I got a coach, and I actually do less now I have a coach. I think I was doing too much before, but now me and my partner have the same coach, and he works our schedules around one another, because with the two kids it's impossible otherwise. So I tend to train 6 days a week. It's not a lot, it's maybe 7 hours, and then if I'm training for the big long races in the summer, we're getting sort of like 10, 11 hours a week. For a couple of weeks, that's it, but an hour and a half a day is about what I do.
So you're juggling the kids and all that kind of stuff. So how hard is that to kind of do? Is there any fear in that kind of, you know, your kids come along, how am I going to train? How am I going to go back? How am I going to get into it?
Yeah, I train really early in the morning before the kids get up for a couple of reasons. So one reason is because I'm tired when I get in from work. And the way I see it is, if I finish work, I've got a choice then whether I train or not. But if I train, I've got no choice but to go to work, so everything's done. If I leave something till later in the day, there's more chance for things to go wrong. So, you know, one of the kids might get poorly, or we've got to go and do something, so I might not be able to do it then, or I might just not want to later on. I might just be tired and want to eat my dinner and watch a movie with the kids. So I do it really early, and feel better for it in the day. And then Michael will train at night, but he likes to do that. So if I say to him, like, are you getting up in the morning? He's like, absolutely not, no. Yeah, so we just split our time.
And are you promoting the healthy living kind of stuff with the kids? What's the rub off on them? Have you seen anything from them?
No, we've got a very relaxed style of parenting. You know, we're both big on manners, you know, and tidying up after yourself, but I've got the kids, they do what they want. They're very happy, content children. I would like for them to see what we do, and if they get into it, great, but if anything, they'll just see some hard work, you know, and if they can put that into whatever they want to do, then I'll have done a good job in my eyes. Not necessarily triathlon, but if they see a mum and dad have worked hard and they've done this, I'll do that with, I don't know, drawing, you know, school, whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah, so you're not pushing them into anything that you're doing, no?
No, I'm very pushy with the swimming, purely from a life-saving skill. But if they say they don't want to do it anymore once they can swim, then no, they don't have to do it anymore.
And your partner as well, is he train as hard as you?
Yeah, he's brilliant. He was national cycling champion. He's won lots of races, and he's a cheerleader for me, but also I watch him do his thing and think he's brilliant, and I want to be better as well. I think it works really well. Yeah.
Good combination in the family.
Yeah.
Have you suffered any injuries, even your partner as well? Is there anything that's kind of stopped you doing this, and have you found a way to get around that kind of thing as well? Or do you battle through it? What's the injury? Everyone gets them, so I'm intrigued.
Both. We're terrible for going for a run just to see how injured you are. You know, something's niggling, so I'm going to go on a run for an hour just to see how much it hurts. We've had a couple between us, but sometimes they're a blessing in disguise. It just means you have to chill out for a bit. I had a stress fracture in my femur, which I think is attributed to very poor diet and training. A lot of impact, very low weight, no periods. It was a recipe for disaster. I've torn my hips a couple of times.
Torn the hips?
Yeah, so just torn the acetabulum, which is inside your hip joint. That's happened a couple of times, but it will happen if you just neglect the joints and you don't do any rehab, prehab, stretching things, which, to be honest, I never do. And I don't think many people do unless something starts going wrong, do they? I think something starts hurting, you're like, ooh, I best stretch.
So you don't do that? You don't maintain any regiment?
No.
You still terrible. Don't?
No. I'm better at recognising when something's starting to niggle a little bit, but generally no, I haven't got time. My life's 100 miles an hour.
Is this something as well that people don't do it because it's like, I'll just do it when I need to kind of thing. But if you did it continuously, then you might not get the injuries. Is there anything in that? Because you know yourself, you're probably saying the same thing in your head.
And those people are absolutely correct. And if you ever meet one of them people, I will not believe you. I believe everybody, maybe if they've had a really serious injury, we'll get into that habit, but most people don't do it, and they will be the same. Something will start hurting, and then they'll start, doing some squats and stretching and,
So what other injuries? Stress fracture, you torn your hips.
I think that's it. I think that was it for me. He broke his foot during a race.
Did he continue?
I think he won. Yeah, he continued and he won, I think. I'm sure he did, yeah. And then he came home and I was like, it's broken, that. And he's like, no, I don't think it's broken. I was like, it's broken, that. And then I said, do me a favour, just stand on your tiptoes. And you should have heard him scream. I was like, I think it's broken. But it's running. Everything comes from running. It's very bad for you.
But you still do it anyway.
Absolutely. It's great.
So how long do you think you're going to kind of keep doing this for? Because this must be hard to know that a time is going to come when you can't do it, if you thought about
Yeah, so way back when, the Lanzarote, see my friend's sister on the bike thing, when I started looking at Ironman there's a world championship race in Hawaii. And from then, as soon as I saw that race and started watching the footage and stuff, I was obsessed. I was like, I need to go, even if it was to watch. I want to go. And there's not a day goes by where I don't mention it, I don't Google it, I don't watch something on YouTube. And I entered an Ironman last year, secretly hoping I'll qualify for the World Championships, which would be this year, 25. And but didn't really think I'd do it because I'm a mum of two, got 2 jobs, I go to uni, I train 6-7 hours a week. It's not a recipe for success, really. So I thought, and it takes a lot as well. It's not just the physical commitment, it's the mental commitment, because it's a lifestyle thing, because everything I do every day impacts that race. So it's a choice to get to the start line in the shape I want to be in. And I knew when it was coming. I'd said to Michael, I'm done after this. And I was quite looking forward to being done. I still do shorter stuff, it's a sport I like, but certainly with Ironman for a while, I'm done. And I qualified, and I remember that the 2 feelings I had. I was absolutely ecstatic. I couldn't believe I'd done it. I was like, it's another year. It's another year of training every single day towards this race, but I'm dead happy about it. So now I'm on my way there. But after Hawaii, I think that's me for a long time then.
You think?
I think because that, it's a 20-year-old dream, and I can't imagine once I've done it, what else is going to drive me to wake up at 4 o'clock every morning then to train for it. And it'll be nice as well, because I know Michael wants to give it a go. So if I can sit back, I like the sport in any capacity. So if I can watch and support him doing it, I'll enjoy that just as much. And I'll have achieved the thing that's been 20 years in the making.
So is that the pinnacle of any race? That?
To me, yeah. To me, that's what I've worked towards this entire time, and I hope I'm not too overwhelmed when I get there. I've always joked, I think when I get there, I probably won't be able to do anything. I'll be too taken aback at the fact I've done it. So I hope when I get there, I can control myself and enjoy it for what it is. That's the reward for the 2 decades of everything I've been doing, really.
Yeah.
It's
a long time though, isn't it?
It's a really long time, and yet I haven't wavered. I've always wanted to do it, and I don't think I've had anything else in life actually that I've worked so hard for so long. So yeah, once that's done, I think I'll just chill out for a bit after that. Yeah, I'll have a lie in.
Do you think you'll ever get there, enjoy it?
I hope so, yeah. I think I'm not bothered about what time I do or what position I come. I'm just pleased to be there. I want to finish it. I want to enjoy the race. And I'm not going to get there, and I'm not going to push myself and be miserable for 10 hours or whatever. I want to take it all in, because I may not ever get there again.
And what's your training like to build up to something like that? You mentioned 4 o'clock in the morning. Let's talk about what your day is. What have you got to do to achieve that goal?
Probably a lot less than what other people do. Not from a talent thing. I don't mean, I'm really good. I'm certainly not gifted in any way. But my coach is very good, because I'm quite time poor, at facilitating the goal by just adjusting my sessions so I get the most out of my time. And what I do is I make sure I fit it all in, because there are people, you probably come across people with you going to the gym that find a reason to not go to the gym, and they love it, don't they? They love to talk to you about reasons that they can't do stuff. And we're the opposite, where I will find a way to get that session done regardless of what's going on that week, that day. And if I can't do the session, I'll do something else. So yeah, I get up about 4 o'clock in the morning, get my session done before work, and repeat every day until race day.
Is there any stress on yourself if you can't fit that in, or do you just make
Yeah,
sure?
yeah. I don't enjoy missing sessions, and I think as well from like a mental health perspective, if you're somebody that enjoys exercise, after a couple of days of not doing exercise, you notice you start getting moody, your energy levels actually dip. I think if you haven't exercised all day, I actually think you feel worse.
Have you had that yourself? Because it sounds like you haven't had 2 days off.
Yeah, I have. I think when my mum brought me home from the hospital, no, there's times after races where I'll have a couple of days off, which is welcome, but then I look forward to starting again. But I don't enjoy to miss training sessions.
So what's it like lying in the hospital with a baby on your arms going, I need to get back to training?
I wasn't like that on that day. But then after a couple of days of being in the house with a newborn, even just out for a walk, something, it doesn't have to be, a 10-mile run or a few hours on your bike, just out in the fresh air doing anything,
Well, being active is who you are as well.
Yeah.
Like you said, it helps your kind of mental state.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, do you know when it kind of wanes? Do you know when it kind of stops? It sounds like you've never had a time when you haven't done anything. So do you think you need that?
Yeah, it's a habit as well, like anything else. People have their habits and their isms. And exercise is definitely one of the things that I just do. I like it. I do it every day. And if you didn't do something that you do every day, even, you miss your alarm and you're late and your routine's all out, it sort of puts you out for the day, doesn't it? And I suppose it's just a bit like that, but people could probably see that I'm just obsessed with exercise, but it's not just the training aspect, it's the mental side of it as well.
Do you look at that as an obsession, OCD, any of that kind of stuff or not? Or do you just think it's a healthy way of living?
It's both. I can see both.
Do you understand it kind of probably is a thing?
There has to be a level of obsession to be able to achieve any goal. You can't, there's no shortcuts. If it's, a university degree or I don't know what people aspire to do, a job or whatever, there's no shortcuts. If you're one of them lucky people that's incredibly talented or you get picked. But most of us have got to take the stairs, so there has to be a level of obsession to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. But it's kind of noticing that and understanding that as well.
Yeah.
Some people don't understand that, and some people think an obsession's a bad thing.
There's definitely worse habits to have, but I'm very self-aware. I know how I behave. I know what my conversations are about, and I also actually on the other side, I've when people who don't do what I do, sort of. So one time I tore my hip. I've been training for this race for a long time. Really upset that I couldn't do it, or there was the prospect that I couldn't do it, and people were just like, "It's just a race. It's just another race." It's not just one day, though. It's time, money, effort, and something I like. And I'd liken it to somebody, if you took all this time and effort filming, say you did 20 episodes, you've done all the editing, it's taken you 6 months, and then someone pinches your computer. It's not just that one day that's gone. It's not just the computer that's gone, or, someone spends a year typing the dissertation for uni, and then just as they go to send it in, somebody deletes it. You can't just type it again, And I think I struggle to articulate to people just how important it is when you've put all that time and effort in. So I have to sort of give them an analogy. It's a bit like you doing this, it's a bit like you doing this. Some get it, some don't, and if they don't, it's no skin off my nose at all.
That's the thing, because you're trying to... Do people ask your advice as well on, how do you do this? What should I do to do that?
Yeah.
It's all... The main thing is about food, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about what should I eat?
Yeah.
What should I do?
Yeah.
But does it wind you up that you get the same questions all the time by people who do not do it?
Yes, there's a lot of quitting before they've even started. You know, I get a lot of, you know, I want to lose some weight. What would you eat? Blah, 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 blah. Well, why don't you try just having, you know, such. I don't like sweet potato, so can I have? I'm like, well, you've quit before you've even tried it. Or, you know, some people, they want to, nobody wants to ride that quick, but say they were going to ride that quick, they just want to be able to get on the bike and ride that quick. They don't want to do the bit that gets you there. And it's a lot of, I'd imagine it's empty questions, but some people maybe are just taking an interest, you know, maybe making conversation. But there is a lot of people, like you say, that have no interest in doing the thing that they're asking you about.
Yeah, it's doing the hard work to get to the end.
That's
result,
it,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. It's hard work, but I enjoy it. It's not, I'm not putting myself through anything. I like what I do, and sometimes I'm not hopelessly motivated to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but sometimes I just have to train unmotivated.
Yeah.
You know, the session still gets done, and at the end of it, I've never ever finished a session and thought, shouldn't have bothered. You know, you're probably the same when you've been in the gym. You know, you've never thought like, you know, wish I hadn't have gone to the gym this morning. You know, I feel awful for going to the gym this morning. You know, it's just nice to get it done, and you do feel better for it. And I can hand on heart say I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think because you're such a positive disposition, I was going to ask you what frustrates you in the world of triathlon and the world of fitness. Is there anything that really gets you goat about what you say on social media or something like that? Kind of, is there anything that people could be doing better?
There's one thing. It's maybe not triathlon specific, but for me, is equal prize money in women's racing. So I didn't realise, maybe ignorance on my behalf, until there was one race that I won, and I didn't realise I'd won. I got to the end and my friend said, oh, you've won, so you're going to hang around for the awards ceremony at the end and stuff. I was like, is right, yeah, absolutely I am. So I hung around. They did the presentation. The male winner got his trophy and prize money. And then they were like, right, everyone, see you next year. And I was like, oh. And I didn't have the guts to say anything. I was like, oh, okay. I felt really awkward and I just left. And I mentioned it to a couple of friends that sort of have a lot to do with the cycling community, triathlon community. And apparently it's a thing. It's a thing that girls don't get the same prize money. I think they're trying to change it. And rightly so. I think if we're cycling the same distance, I've heard some arguments are that we're not as quick and we're not beating as many people because the field is, say, 20% women, 80% men. But you can only race who turns up. So, you know, would it be the same if only 20% of the men turned up? Would they then say to the bloke, oh, we're going to take most of that prize money away now because not everyone turned up today? Or, you know, your time wasn't as quick as the bloke that won last year, so you're probably just going to earn less today.
It's the same effort.
It's the same effort. It's the same effort, and, you know, not just me, other girls that are winning and things like that. It's not their fault that the field is only 20%, and it's still, you know, me and, you know, one of my teammates, she's also brilliant. You know, if she's winning a race, say there's, I'm just picking figures out, say there's 50 blokes. She's coming with the blokes, she's coming sort of 10th, so she's still beating 40 of them, but they're saying, yeah, but there's only 12 women on the start line. But we've still beaten most of your guys. And I don't think it's fair. I would understand if we did less, you know, if we only did 10 mile instead of 20 mile or whatever, but it's the same effort, same dedication. You've still got to win, and you can only race who turns up. And that was something I was only made aware of last year, I think it was. Maybe the year before.
That was pretty recent.
Something I really, really dislike about it.
I'm amazed it's still a thing.
Mm-hmm. I know, I was shocked. They've changed some of the races now so you can enter as a female. So they had 2 races. but not all of them. So some of them you still go in with the men, which is fine. I don't mind that. But
You used to train with your dad.
yeah.
That right there should say everything, you know?
Yeah, I don't mind, but I think it's not fair to minimise what we do just because there's more of you. It doesn't make it any less great, if you like, if that's even the right word. You know, it's not... You wouldn't dare tell somebody, oh, I don't know, like a wheelchair athlete, you wouldn't dare say, well, you didn't really win because there was only 10 of you, you know. You still won. You still did a really good thing.
So how did it change? How is that going to change in the industry?
I think there was some meetings with some of the northeast, like cycling somebody's bodies. I don't know what they're called, and I think it comes down to a vote. I could be wrong. The last I heard was there was some older men that were against it being equal. I don't know what the update is. That was sort of last summer, and I've not had much to do with it since because it's been winter. But if I do hear, I'll let you know.
Any message out there to somebody who wants to give it a go, wants to give it a try, thinks they can't do it?
I would say I also couldn't do it. You know, find me anybody that's done anything the first time and they've been great. You don't know unless you try. And I tried, I was terrible, but then stuck at it through choice. It's a great sport, and moving up here, most of my friends here are from that community. It's really supportive, friendly, healthy. It's a nice environment. And yeah, I'd say just give it a go. You know, like that quote, what if you fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? It's like that. Just give it a go.